just conjecture. But the reverse process, like reverse osmosis, reverse degradation, that ultimately people don't realize. And it was hard for me to watch this. People eating their meat and just intoxicating and just going through every aspect, breaking all the regular principles without any knowledge of what they were doing. So ultimately it hurts to see that, because you know what's going to happen. They go down, the line and take on animal birth. Like Prabhupada said, Nehru took a birth as a dog in Scandinavia. So you may be a big person in this life, next life you may be a cockroach. And then there are people who commit suicide. And this is one of the most devastating aspects you can do to your spiritual life. For one that does that, ultimately, ghost body is waiting. And the definition of a ghost is someone who is attaching themselves to someone who's like on drugs, or is like, who for a moment is like off guard. And so you have a set up guard system within all of us that ultimately we're not troubled by ghosts, because ultimately we return to the body after we're sleeping, and if the body's in a good state, we return to the body. If it's not in a good state, ultimately you lose the body. You go into another body. But those who have no bodies, they have all the gross symptoms and they want to enjoy their senses and they can't do it. So they use other bodies. And I had one friend in America. It was a couple. They invited me to their sessions, and they were the lady would take on a ghost body. The ghost would enter her body, and she was a small little young lady, and she started speaking in a rough voice and drinking whiskey and smoking cigars, because that's what the guy liked, the ghost. And so he spoke all this philosophy, all this garbage knowledge that came in books that became bestsellers in America. Seth Speaks, I don't know if anybody heard about it, but Seth Speaks was like a series of literatures that came out about this ghost that was speaking through the body, that was channeling. I still got time yet. I want to give a couple of Prabhupada stories while I can thinking of it. There was a moment in Vrindavan, and Prabhupada, he was lying there, seemingly, from what I saw, those last 4 months, he was fully strong in everything that he was doing, his translation. And it tapered because he was skin and bones. And ultimately, those last months, any normal person would have suffered intensely with the fact that he had nothing but skin covering the skeleton. And so he, if I can tell this story, but so he was lying there, and all of a sudden I kept getting this impression that something more was coming on. And so there was only 2 people in the room at the time, and one was Jayadvaita, and he was called over to Prabhupada, and the other one was Sadhudanya. He walked out. And so suddenly I was chanting. I was given the cartels. The cartels were small because Prabhupada didn't want to be bothered by heavy sounds. It was sensitive to the hearing. And so the kirtan was very soft. And I never led a kirtan at that time before in my whole life. So suddenly now I was in front of Prabhupada and I had to lead a kirtan. And so I did. I started, and I just began it. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, bingo. And the whole room changed. Suddenly there was like this, the whole spiritual world descended, and it all became very like soft focus. And I was seeing the same thing, but ultimately there was a voice in my head. Okay, what do you want? You called on me. What do you want? What's your desire? And I heard that voice. My hair was up on end, shivering, tears. So this happens, and this happens to different devotees along the line. I've heard this many times from different people, different devotees have had similar experiences. And so for me, I couldn't think of anything, and I just started crying. And that was when then Jai Tirtha walked in with a group, and that ended the experience. But for the time that I understood, Prabhupada was fully aware of everything that was going on at every moment in his time on the planet, especially in those 4 months. There wasn't a time when he wasn't conscious or aware of what was happening. So whatever was going on in those 4 months, he knew exactly what was happening. There was no question about it. And so Srila Prabhupada was yesterday we were hearing Prabhupada was very silent, very grave. And for those months he was like that. He wasn't speaking much. And when he did speak, it was just giving class. And I'm trying to remember some of the funny things. Oh yeah, there's one. So I was told to make the first murti of Prabhupada for the museum we were making in Los Angeles. And so I started thinking about it, and I thought, well, if I'm going to do this, I was a brand new devotee even, so I have to start making sketches of Prabhupada to get somewhere advanced more and be able to do this and be able to make his divine form. And so I started making drawings of Prabhupada while he was giving class. And so he's facing, I was just seeing his profile. So I was looking at the profile, and I'd look up and I would be sketching. Now, normally I could do it very quickly, but I looked up, every time I looked up, it was a different Prabhupada sitting there. He was like changing like a kaleidoscope. His face changed, the color, the shape, intensity, everything was different every time I looked. So I gave up. I couldn't do it. Next day was worse. So then I forget, I can't do this. And Prabhupada looked over at me, smiled. You can't capture the spiritual master that easy. So then there was another incident whereby Prabhupada did 3 miracles in one day, one shot, within a matter of moments. First one was, it was in Atlanta, and it was a offering. He was doing Guru Puja, his spiritual master, and there was a picture of Srila Bhakti Sidhanta on a chair decorated. And so Prabhupada was doing the artik, and so he was doing it with a conch shell. And so he whispered, I want a bowl. He needed a bowl to put the water in after they didn't provide a bowl. And so he kept saying, bowl, bowl. And all of a sudden, the whole place went crazy. It went, Haribol, Haribol, Haribol. So it was no bowl. He said, well, what can I do with these people? Malacha Yavanas, there's no hope. Anyway, so he took that conch shell full of water and he flicked it, and it went about 10 feet into the Tulsi plant without dropping not a drop wasted. So then he had to blow a conch shell. This little conch shell was like it was the wrong one they gave him. Nobody could blow it. So they figured, oh, probably going to make a blunder here. He won't be able to blow that conch shell. So he picked it up and blew it 3 times perfectly without a problem. Then he got on the Vyasa-san, and he started playing Mridanga. And he'd play it, boom, 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 boom. And he played it. As he played it, it tuned itself. So that's 3 in one shot. So Prabhupada could do many things that I saw. I don't know, I'm getting into this, but I'll tell a few stories more. But I saw Prabhupada not touching the ground. When he was walking, this is in Los Angeles on the Venice Beach up on the top where there's a park. And then we came a little late. And so I saw Prabhupada walking in front of everybody, and everybody was half running to catch up. Prabhupada just walking